The Secure Act of 2019 and Secure Act 2.0 introduced changes on how inherited IRAs can be distributed. Generally, beneficiaries must withdraw funds from the inherited IRA, and these withdrawals are typically taxable as ordinary income. The options depend on your relationship to the deceased, whether that be spousal or non spousal, whether you qualify as an eligible designated beneficiary or EDB, and whether the original owner had reached the required beginning date, also known as RBD. Now, let's start with the options for spousal beneficiaries. If you are the surviving spouse and the sole beneficiary of the IRA, you have the following four options. Number one, designate yourself as the IRA owner and convert or roll it into your own traditional IRA. Number two, leave the IRA in its inherited status and elect to take RMDs based on your single life expectancy, and this is via IRS table. Number three, leave the IRA in its inherited status and elect to take RMDs based on your deceased spouse's would-be life expectancy schedule. And last but not least, number four, leave the IRA in its inherited status and elect the 10-year rule. Let's go over the options for non-spousal beneficiaries. If you are not the surviving spouse, you may not have a choice in how the IRA is distributed. If you are an eligible designated beneficiary, EDB, such as a qualifying minor, have a disability, or chronic illness, you may qualify to distribute the IRA over your life using the single life expectancy table. If you are not an eligible designated beneficiary, you are, and decide to elect the 10-year rule, you must distribute the entire account by year 10. If the previous owner had already begun RMDs, an RMD is required in years 1 through 9. Now, let's reiterate what we just talked about, but in more detail, starting with the spousal options. Number one, treat the IRA as your own. You can redesignate or roll over the inherited IRA into your own IRA. This allows you to delay RMDs until you reach your own RMD age, which could be age 73 or 75 depending on your birth year. You can also make new contributions and name your own beneficiaries. This is often the best choice if you're younger than the deceased, as it maximizes tax-deferred growth. Number two, maintain as an inherited IRA and take distributions over your life expectancy. If you don't want to treat it as your own, you can keep the account titled as an inherited IRA. Distributions are based on your single life expectancy using IRS Table 1. Now, if the owner died before their RBD, required beginning date, you can delay starting RMDs until the later December 31st of the year after their death or the date they would have reached their RBD. Now, this option provides annual RMDs that are generally smaller than under the 10-year rule. Let's keep that in mind. Next option, maintain as an inherited IRA and take distributions based on your deceased spouse's life expectancy. This option allows you to step into the spouse's shoes and continue taking their RMDs. This selection can make sense if your spouse was younger than you. This selection essentially reduces the size of the RMDs that you would have to take using your own life expectancy. Next option, you can just elect the 10-year rule. You can choose to fully distribute the entire account by December 31st of the 10th year following the owner's death. No annual RMDs are required during the first 9 years if the owner died before their RBD. However, if they died on or after their RBD, you must take annual RMDs in years 1 through 9 based on your life expectancy, withdrawing the remainder in year 10. Now, inherited Roth IRAs by spouses follow similar rules, but with no RMDs during your lifetime if treated as your own, so keep that in mind. Now let's talk about options for non-spousal beneficiaries in detail. If you qualify as an eligible designated beneficiary, EDB, you can distribute the IRA over your single life expectancy. RMDs must begin by December 31st of the year after the owner's death. This stretches withdrawals over a longer period, potentially reducing annual tax burdens. If the owner died on or after their RBD, you use the longer of your life expectancy or the owner's remaining expectancy. You can also elect the 10-year rule instead. If you are not an EDB or are and decide to elect the 10-year rule, the entire IRA must be distributed by December 31st of the 10th year following the owner's death. As mentioned before, if the owner died after their RBD, yearly RMDs are required during years 1 through 9. Now, for Roth IRAs, the 10-year rule still applies, but withdrawals are tax-free if the account was held for at least 5 years. Let's talk about some caveated scenarios. Minor children. If you are the owner's minor child, you're under age 21, you qualify as an EDB and can use the life expectancy method for annual RMD starting the year after the owner's death. However, once you reach age 21, you no longer qualify as an EDB for this purpose. At that point, you must fully distribute the remaining balance by the end of the 10th year following the year you turn 21. Annual RMDs continue during those 10 years using the fixed life expectancy. If the owner died on or after their RBD, these annual RMDs are mandatory throughout. If you're disabled or chronically ill, as EDBs, you can stretch distributions over your life expectancy indefinitely. No switch to the 10-year rule. But disability must meet strict IRS definitions. Certification may be required. Now let's talk about multiple beneficiaries. If there are several, the rules default to the least flexible option, which tend to be the oldest beneficiary's life expectancy or the non-EDB status. Separate inherited IRAs must be established by December 31st of the year after death to allow individual calculations. Let's talk about no designated beneficiary, or these tend to be, estates or non-qualifying trusts. If the beneficiary isn't not an individual or a qualifying see-through trust, the old rules still apply. If the owner died before RBD, full distribution within 5 years, if after, over the owner's remaining life expectancy. Let's talk about lump sum distribution. Any beneficiary can always take the entire amount out at once. But realize this may trigger a large tax bill. If you're interested more in these items, refer to IRS publication 590B, and you can dive deeper into these options. Thanks for your time.